Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the par, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's the end of the theme song. Do it for Deuce and Mo.
We are live!
Do it for Deuce and Mo.
That sounded so fake.
I know, you tried. Hey,
Man,
I know.
I wish there was a game in between these games. If you're going to tell me the Kings were going to lose tonight, like lose to the shorthanded, can you just space it out so I can enjoy the Clippers game one more day?
You know what?
Hey, Morgan.
Hey.
That's a great point.
It's just like we were on the ultimate high of highs yesterday. I'm feeling good. I'm walking around going, man, they turned the corner a little bit. And then the basketball gods gift you one tonight. They go, hey, man, we know Miami's good. We're going to take away some key pieces. We'll leave a couple of really good ones out there, but we'll make this a little easier for you on the second I have a back-to-back. And then you get down 20 at home, and you lose to the Miami Heat 121 to 110. Pain. It's pain. It's painful. It's painful. And for me, I get irritated by it, too, because, like, you know me, I get so emotionally wrapped up into things. But, you know, the joke this year has been, oh, Kings are playing a shorthanded team. You know what that means? They're going to lose, right? And it's happened a few times this year. And I get so annoyed by seeing it. I'm like, oh, stop it.
I have another joke.
Yeah.
The Kings are playing one of the shittiest three-point shooting teams in the league tonight. Ha ha ha.
And then the Spurs hit 40%.
Orlando.
Oh, Orlando. Yeah. No, that's true.
So, yeah. No, it's kind of their bit.
Yeah.
Funny bit.
The narrative, yeah, it is funny.
Is it?
I looking at social media a little bit tonight, just seeing some of the talk, and of course, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's a roller coaster. This is so fun," and a loss is like everything's falling apart again. Let's settle down a little bit. This loss sucks. There's no other way to put it. But I also think there's like major like Miami Heat disrespect when we talk about it. Like Miami rolled out, a high school team tonight. Like, look at their starting lineup. Like they had one All-Star. 3 guys in the starting lineup were playing as starters in the NBA Finals last year. I mean, it's not like they're bums. Not excusing it, but let's give a little respect to Miami a little bit.
Give the respect it deserves.
Okay.
And, I mean, on top of all of this, you can give the respect of, look, Miami has a culture where they're always going to play hard. But it sucks, too, because then you see, I mean, if you watch some of their games on League Pass or something, you're like, oh, this is Miami? You know, even with Jimmy Butler in, it's like, this is Miami, huh? This is who they're, and it's like, no, you're just watching that one game where they're playing like shit, and they come out, and they do this.
This team, man, this Kings team's really frustrating, huh?
You know, can I be honest?
Yeah, I'd love to. How are they not frustrating this year?
Okay, aggressive.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Like, let's be kind. Of course, it's frustrating, but I think I said this before All-Star break, and I took a step back and was like, there's so much good. I think where the frustrating part comes from, and it would come from anything in life when there's inconsistency, right? Because the ups and downs of emotions is wild. And I think last year, I wish I wrote, I was going to say, I wish I had a journal for every single game. I mean, basically have a video journal for every single game last year. And if I really wanted to and had time, I could go back and see some of our emotions after, you know, some of the losses. And I think where they were different, a lot of people always say, oh, it's because you didn't expect it. No, I don't think it was just that last year. I think truly in some of their losses, it was they were controlling what they could control. And some of these losses this year's, it's they're not controlling the controllables. And for example, that would be like as simple as Mike Brown having a different type of rotation or leaving in small ball too long or, you know, whatever it may be. And sometimes that can also go to how the team is constructed too, with what pieces he is also given to have to put together and work with, and especially when a guy like Sasha's even injured. And I'm not acting like Sasha's going to save the world, but it still just keeps screwing with the consistency of what the rotation we were hoping to see toward the end of the year. Man, is that a fair, like, why I'm not ultra frustrated with them all year long?
We can say it for the podcast.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm enjoying the season still. You know, last night was an epic, fun game, and you're like, oh man, when it's clicking, you see it looking so smooth. And tonight, like, it felt like, oh, this is going to be a grinded out game. Like, Miami's going to bring it. Like, I had zero doubt Miami was going to bring it tonight. Yeah. I didn't care who. Miami's one of those teams you can go ahead and go, it doesn't matter who's missing from them because they're going to play. And that's just in their DNA. And I think there's a lot of questions I have about the Kings mentality a lot when these things happen.
Fair.
Rotation stuff tonight. They just made a lot of mistakes. Now, they made it interesting at the end. They battled and got back in the game. They took a 20-point lead down to 2.
And that takes this shit right here.
Sure.
That's mental. Like, you know, and that's where I go, I question their mentality a lot in the beginning of the season if they could push through certain things. And I think we saw the stretch on that road trip and then a few downers on and off when they were back home before the All-Star break, but a lot of uppers too. And I don't know, inconsistent, so your emotions are going to be inconsistent too.
Well, and it sucks when you lose home games like this.
And being down by 20 on your home floor is just like, what the fuck?
Dude, come on.
I know. Let's get to it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We're going to still have some fun tonight, I promise.
Yeah.
Right? All right. All right, Deuce and Mo. Let's go over the highs and the lows of this one. Coming down. 3, 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast, recording this on a Monday night. And how about just 24 hours ago, we were on the ultimate high of highs. The Kings with a tough road win against the Clippers where they played some defense. De'Aaron Fox was amazing. How are the Kings going to respond on the second night of a back-to-back against a tough Miami Heat team? Well, seems like they got a little lucky, right? Mm-hmm. A shorthanded Miami Heat team. No Jimmy Butler. No Josh Richardson.
Okay.
No Rozier. No Orlando Robinson. No Tyler Hero. And they lost. Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, because it took a really dramatic downer turn.
Yeah.
Is it because you forgot for a second who exactly was out and you were going to name like 3 instead of those 5?
Yeah, look. I thought I had them written down in front of me. Okay? And then I was going to scramble real fast and get it, but it just didn't work out. Deuce and Mo coming out. 3, 2, 1.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast, recording this on a Monday night. We were on the ultimate high of highs last night. The Kings went to LA and beat the Clippers. Some big-time defensive moments in that game. Everyone was feeling good. The Kings searching for win number 4 in a row. Second night of a back-to-back against a Miami Heat team that was beyond shorthanded. The basketball god said, "Here's a gift. I present you a shorthanded Miami team." No Jimmy Butler, no Tyler Hero, no Josh Richardson, Orlando Robinson, Terry Rozier, Drew Smith, Thomas Bryant, and Nikola Jovic. But it did not matter. The Miami Heat put it to the Sacramento Kings. Big moments from the rookie Jaime Jaquez Jr., Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love, and Sacramento got down by as many as 20 points, but rallied back in the fourth quarter to cut it to 2. But down the stretch, Miami was too difficult, too much to handle for the Sacramento Kings, and Sacramento loses on the home floor tonight, 121-100. This podcast presented by our friends over at Northwest Exteriors. Check out trustnorthwest.com. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. Mo, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm whatever.
You're whatever.
I don't know. I'm frustrated, but like at the same time, and you know, I don't know if it's this point of the season too, where I'm definitely not, hey, it's one game, because there is no more like it's one game. I am very much along the lines like this shit happens, but I think when we really start breaking down everything that we're about to break down is when the emotions start coming up. It's when you're not controlling the controllables, and that can be frustrating, especially on your home floor. I mean, you talk about the basketball gods giving you this Miami Heat team that is shorthanded. The basketball gods are also giving you all these home games to end the season on, and you got to capitalize on that. You really got to capitalize on that. And even being so close in some of these moments, seeing this team be so resilient and mentally strong down the stretch in the fourth when you're starting off almost down 20. What a great fight back. But then there's just like little other things at the end. It was, why couldn't you just do something else when you were down 6? You know what I mean? Or do something else when you're down 2, even at the end. And why did you even have to get down by 20? Because of so many things that you just weren't taking care of. So, yeah, we'll get into all those deeds.
I love how Morgan said, "I'm fine," and then went on about a 2-minute monologue
2 minutes.
where she sounded extremely frustrated at the end. No, it's frustrating because what you just said, Morgan, Miami is a good team. We're more than aware of this. They, coming into this game, had won 7 of its last 9 games. They beat Sacramento before. I went into tonight knowing all these guys were missing, right, that we just rattled off. Yeah. And I went, this is going to be a tough game.
Same.
And it's not even so much that, like, oh, the Kings aren't going to bring it. I'm going, look, Miami, it doesn't matter who is out there for them. You look at their starting lineup tonight, even with all those guys missing, well, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Caleb Martin, they were in the starting lineup tonight. They started NBA Finals games. These guys aren't like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, this Miami team's not a joke. They've got some really good players. They play the right way, and Spoelstra has a standard for them. Go out there and play hard. We don't use being shorthanded as an excuse. That's the mentality they have. They come at you, they play physical, and they're going to be ready to go. Now, with that said, I don't go, you don't get down by 20, because Sacramento should be more mentally resilient by now. You know, and that's, I think, one of my big takeaways tonight is, like, you get down 20, it was a sloppy game for you in the first half, but you're in the game.
In it.
But then you get down 20, and there was missed opportunities with adjustments to the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you decide to go into a matchup zone yourself because Miami was crushing you in that. Their matchup zone was amazing. That forced a lot of the mistakes from Sacramento.
So together.
You go in a matchup zone, it changes the game. You're getting turnovers. Keegan's making plays defensively. Everyone's making plays. Fox is making plays, and you cut that lead down to 2. You get back in the game. You make it a game. You had a chance to win it.
With
And
like
it wasn't
minutes.
Not with like 90 seconds to go.
Yes.
You were back in the game at the
Yes.
halfway point of the fourth quarter. I guess my problem looking at this is just going, dude, those adjustments, those tweaks, whether it's the players on the court or from the coaching staff, they got to come earlier. They can't be coming when you're desperate, when you're down 18 to 20 points at home. In the fourth quarter, those need to happen. Like you were just saying, all right, they made a little bit of a push here.
Yeah.
What's our main adjustment? Let's throw up this matchup zone now. It's a 6-point game. We're going to do this now to change the look of the game, not wait until you're down 18-20 when you got to just go ahead and just throw shit at the wall. I think there are a lot of missed opportunities tonight by the Kings.
Yeah, and I think that's just like a mental shift too by Mike Brown and the coaching staff, where like they got to change from, okay, we're not behind anymore. We're in this. We're here. What adjustments do we need? Just pound, pound, pound. And nothing seemed to be like pounding, I guess you could put it in that sense. But did you make a face?
You saw that?
Yeah, I did. You dick. But yeah, so I guess yeah, that's where a lot of the frustrations come in with this team and with this game tonight. And there's a lot of things that I also loved about this game tonight. A lot of individual moments, a lot of team moments, or a few team moments. And I think one of my favorite team moments was truly when this team was fighting back in that fourth, the beginning of the fourth, the resiliency. Like what I saw there, and this is another thing, they were you could tell they were fighting through heavy legs, right? Like they're fighting through second night of back-to-back. And I say this, everyone does it. But what they had to leave on the floor with the LA Clippers, going up against 3 future Hall of Famers and everything, it was a lot. They end up pulling out the win. What could they push through tonight? They tried. They really tried pushing through, and they fought back in the beginning of the fourth. But then there was just, I guess where my frustrations came in is it shouldn't have even got to that hole. Like you shouldn't have gotten down by 20. And I get that that's going to happen against teams in the NBA, but there's so many other things going on against the Heat where it just felt like, no, this is your game. You got this.
It got off to a weird start, too. Sacramento had 7 turnovers in the first quarter, turned into 11 points for Miami. So the Kings were shooting the ball. I mean, you go to the end of the quarter, and the Kings close well. They end up leading 33-32. I thought they did a good job getting back in the game. Chris Duarte with some nice moments in that first quarter provided some nice energy for Sacramento during that stretch. They end up shooting 62% in the quarter. Keegan has got 12 points in the first quarter. They're up by 1, but they had 7 turnovers. I'm going, all right, you know what? Start taking care of the ball here, and you should be fine in this game. But I think the one thing I didn't give enough love to at the time in my head was this. It was some of the turnovers were not like, oh, lazy passes. It was Miami zone. And Miami has done this the last couple of years. They run a matchup zone. They run a lot of zone defense. They are amazing at it. Mm-hmm. And they do it. Sacramento loves getting into the paint, spraying out for 3. They were not allowing any spray threes.
Deflections.
Oh, my God.
Up in the air. I mean, the discipline that was there by Miami's defense.
Poking the ball away. They're always digging. If you go back and watch the game, you will see active hands all the time from Miami Heat's defenders. If Sabonis got the rock, there were multiple guys around him ready to go. And it was just forcing him to make kind of tough passes. And it just took the Kings out of any rhythm that they had. Everything seemingly hard for Sacramento. during stretches of this game because of that zone defense.
And the Kings finished that first quarter going on like a 10-2 run, right? Like it was a nice little spurt of energy to finish off that first quarter after you lost the ball 7 damn times, or I think it was 7. Yeah. And you're exactly right, though. With the Miami Heat and their defense, their activity, there's times that they're absolutely fouling, but what they do such a good job of is that they set the tone with the officiating crew early and basically say, this is how we're going to play. So are you going to stop the game all game long? Or are you going to like understand that this is our standard? And a lot of it is handsy. And like I said, they get away with some things, but like that's the effort you got to put forth. And then understanding your personnel of your officiating crew too, and being like, oh, okay, they're going to call that shit every single time. I got to back off, or, oh, I'm going to keep getting away with this. Just a fantastic job by the Miami Heat. And just, again, the way that they all stay at one level, doesn't matter who's playing.
And the second quarter got off to a much better start for the Sacramento Kings. They really expanded the lead. I thought one of the first plays of that quarter, Fox got it was actually the first play of the quarter. Fox got the ball in the inbound, went quick push up the floor for a bucket. I'm like, okay, I want to see more of that. You saw that Fox alley-oop to Malik Monk.
Yes.
All of a sudden, Sacramento's starting to click a little bit here. But the close was bad. The Kings led by 10. They were up 55-45. Miami ends up closing the second quarter on a 20-7 run to take a 65-62 lead. The other thing with Miami tonight, Morgan, all their guys who played expanded minutes. I'm not talking about Williams or Swider, who really were limited tonight. But the 7 guys that they played, Caleb Martin, Jaquez, Bam, Duncan Robinson, who couldn't shoot tonight but made shit happen with his 11 assists, DeLon Wright playing in his first game with Miami, Haywood Highsmith, and Kevin Love, those 7 guys all played great.
They did.
They were fantastic.
And you talk about someone like Highsmith, for example. I mean, just the energy and the spark that he brought off the bench right away in this game. It was like, okay, how many times have we heard, like, if don't, make sure that you're stopping Bam or whatever, but just don't let the other guys beat you. And it really was one of those nights where the other guys were beating you, including the guys like Bam.
Yeah. Highsmith had 15 points at the half. He finished with 15 points in this game, but I mean, you get 15 on 6 of 9 shooting. He was active on the glass too. The thing that popped out to me is how many times he would get his hand on a ball. He had 3 offensive rebounds. That's a crusher, right?
Yep.
Like that's just great activity from him. He also had 3 steals. His length was a major weapon for Miami in this game.
And just talking about him really quick in those offensive rebounds and him being that weapon in that first half, I did think the Kings did do a good job of making adjustments throughout this game, like whether it was coming out of a timeout and having a good offensive play, or coming out of a timeout and then you're seeing 3 bodies down low boxing out, every Heat player. Like, putting a point of emphasis on it, understanding the importance of it. Something that I felt like we weren't seeing in the beginning of the season were the in-game adjustments. It always felt like, oh, they didn't do this all game long. So I was glad to see that they slowed down Highsmith as other guys started contributing.
So at halftime, at 65-62, Sacramento had 9 turnovers for 13 points in the first half. Bam Adebayo was awesome. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 dimes for him in that first half. And I thought one of the key things that hurt Sacramento tonight, too, Sabonis picked up his second foul at the 8:18 minute mark of the first quarter. At 8:18 of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And it had a major impact on the game because all of a sudden, Bam plays aggressive. Bam's going strong. Bam can blow by you, put the ball on the floor. He's a major threat. He knows Sabonis has 2 fouls. And he knows this. Sabonis doesn't want to pick up number 3 early in that first quarter. He doesn't want to pick up his 3rd in the second quarter. Sabonis backed off in a major way. There was no real pressure on Bam around the basket because Sabonis was so concerned about picking up that 3rd foul. I thought that changed the game a little bit. Even Keegan's foul trouble changed the game too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where... Again, I go back to even personnel, like someone like Tyler Ford calling some of that bullshit. And it's like, you just got to understand who is your officiating crew and being able to be like, okay, how do I adjust? And Sabonis's adjustment was to make sure that he wasn't going to be as aggressive down low when Bam was trying to go through his arms. It wasn't even just about staying vertical. With someone like Bam, you have to use so much of your strength. But if your strength is going to be seen as a possible or deemed a foul in this league, then you got to make sure you're changing it up. And his changeup was to be less aggressive against Bam.
So Kings were down at the half. Third quarter, this was the quarter, right? We talked about the first quarter, all the turnovers. How they ended the second quarter was bad. And then the third quarter, the game was tied up at 71. Okay, it's going to be a game here, all right? 71. By halfway through that quarter, Miami was up 81-73. The Kings just looked gassed at stretches. You know, it seemed like they were getting frustrated with some of the missed shots, the Miami defense. Just couldn't get into the flow. The other thing I noted is halfway through that third quarter, Sabonis had not had a field goal attempt in the quarter. And I'm like, again, this guy is an important part to what you do. I know he's getting a lot of attention, but we got to find some ways to get him the rock so he can create something.
Yeah.
You know, like get Bam into foul trouble or so. That was the thing tonight is Bam wasn't in some foul. I'm looking at Bam Adebayo tonight had one foul. You get him into foul trouble tonight, that could have changed things dramatically.
Well, I text you when I think we saw one of his Sabonis's first field goals in that second half, and that was when Malik Monk came in, and it was in that 2-man game, and you saw this little slip from Sabonis, and Monk pocket pass, boom, gets it to him, layup. Then a few possessions later, it's Monk and Sabonis again, and it was just like a pick and pop to the free throw line midi for Sabonis. And then, you saw another moment after that where it was Sabonis setting a screen and Monk had a floater. Like, it was working. Things were working, and like Sabonis was still able to really be a part of the offense, make things happen in that moment without being too aggressive down low and drawing another foul.
You know, we've given a lot of love to Miami and what they were able to do, especially what they do defensively, right? How they get you uncomfortable, they get you out of your stuff, and then they executed on the other end. I thought the third quarter, what really hurt Sacramento, some of the lineups out there, and Spoelstra did a great job. You put Kevin Love out there. He put Kevin Love out there with Bam. He put Kevin Love out there with Jaquez, and this is when the game changed. The Kings lost this game in the third quarter. And I'm looking at one lineup in particular, 6:02 mark. You got Mitchell out there with Monk, Herter, Keegan, and Sabonis. You can't run that lineup out there when you've got Love and Adebayo out there. They were just hunting every mismatch.
Yeah.
How many times did I see, they're going, Davion's in the game, they're going to go right at him and have a big post him up, and then it puts you in a really tough spot because Bam and Love are such good passers too. They see the floor well, but I didn't even think Sacramento didn't bring over a double. They just went, okay, go ahead and deal with this one-on-one. These guys are going bucket. Same thing with Kevin Herter tonight, where they saw Kevin Herter and go, that's our target. We're going to make sure Bam gets the ball, Jaquez gets the ball, or Love, and we're going to go at him with a turnaround jumper. They didn't bring help. And that happened late in the game, too, even when they had a bigger lineup. But I could not believe that they went small for that long in that third quarter because Miami just exposed them.
Well, it's surprising, too, because if you look at the night before of just how much that they were helping each other out, blitzing guys. I mean, sometimes blitzing at the half court, like, right, you're going to do that with some of the stars. But it's not even about that. It's about, like you said, just throwing a double on someone when they're on – even
give the guy some help
when they're even on the high post, when they're trying to post up one of the smaller guys down low, whatever it is. I mean, being active and just being able to rotate over. I just didn't see a lot of that type of defensive activity, which I thought was really interesting. Which I thought they still worked really hard. I never felt like anyone was being lazy on a drive.
It's just mismatches. That's what it is.
That's what it was.
That's where your coach has to help you out. Mm-hmm. And Mike Brown, I thought, went with that small lineup far too long, especially with the size out there. And I'm like, dude, Love is destroying you. Kevin Love in this game had 19 points, 7 rebounds in 15 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
On 6 of 9.
Bro.
Jaquez was a beast. 26 points on 12 of 17 shooting. Love and Jaquez outscored Sacramento in the third quarter, 23-19. Miami as a team outscored Sacramento 36-19. But I thought they went small. It was 6:02. They had Mitchell, Monk, Herter, Keegan, Sabonis, and they don't make an adjustment until the 2:15 mark, and they put Fox, Monk, Keegan. That's when they brought Lyles back into the game with Sabonis, and I just did not like that at all. I mean, that is something that needs to be adjusted quicker, and they're in a comfort now. Now they're comfortable. Now they're believing that they could hit everything. Why not go to a zone sooner? If you're really going to bust out a matchup zone in the fourth quarter, make that tweak earlier. Do not wait until you get down 18.
Yeah.
20 in a game.
Yeah. When desperate mode comes out, right? And it's like, be desperate in those moments when you see a team like the Miami Heat. They're not the San Antonio Spurs. So when they turn it on, they click and they get going and the lead gets going, you got to make your adjustment then. You know, you can't be like, all right, I'm going to let my guys figure this one out. Let them figure it out against the Pistons, the Spurs, whoever else. But against a team like the Heat, I mean, they're so well coached, obviously, by Eric Spoelstra. And it's like, sometimes it's genius. Sometimes it's just buy-in. Sometimes it's just been this consistent standard for so long that just bleeds into everyone's soul. And I think Mike Brown has a lot of that, but then there's just these moments where you're just like, you have to be the one to be like, nope, I'm done with that. I'm going back to my short leash method, and this is bullshit, and I'm making this adjustment. And it's not even that someone's not doing their job. It's just that, like you said, the matchup is clearly not working.
And I don't know how many teams that lineup would work against.
Right.
Mitchell is a small player. Monk is not like a massive 2-guard. Herter has good length at like 6'7", but again, this Miami team and almost every NBA team, what are they looking for? They're hunting. They're targeting certain players, not necessarily because they're like awful defensively, but because, that could be the weakest link. We have a size advantage here. And I thought the Kings waited way too long to go big again. And they should never have gone away. They should never have gone that small tonight. Especially against especially when he's playing Love with Jaquez or Love with Bam. I just don't understand it. And I understand that Love likes to work the perimeter, but he's also so smart. He moves without the ball. He's a good passer.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Well, and I think something that you had texted me about was when Jaime Jaquez was going kind of hunting for Kevin Herter, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought Kevin Herter was doing a decent job, even like staying in front of him, but then Jaquez would just get deeper and deeper into the paint and
No help.
And would also feel like he was had a quicker release than what Kevin Herter could add with getting his hands up. You know, like it's hard to keep your hands up, moving back, doing all these things where it's like, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to shoot over you every time, or I'm going to make sure I get this baseline jumper or get into the paint. You're exactly right. There just should have been more Kings bodies coming on over.
So it really fell apart in that third quarter for Sacramento. The game was tied up at 71, but they were outscored 36-19. By the end of the quarter, it's 101-81.
That was scary.
So you're down 20 going into the fourth quarter. Bam was on the bench to start the quarter. They get the lead back. The Kings started to cut a little bit. Bam hit a wild-ass shot as the shot clock was going down.
So annoying.
Beats the shot clock, makes it 105-86. What do you know? The Kings decide to switch things up. They go into a matchup zone, and it worked to perfection.
Screwed with them.
What did you like about how they were able to execute with that?
I mean, I liked mixing it up when everything's already not going well for you, right? Like you're seeing that this matchup isn't going well for you. So you do something to try and alter it. You make an adjustment, an in-game adjustment. You don't look back at this and go, gosh, I wish we did this. And by the way, going into a matchup zone, especially when you don't do it all the time, it's not easy. I mean, obviously they're running this in practice and stuff and understanding where they need to be on the floor and how they have to move together. But I was really happy to see that they could pull this one out. Not saying they need to pull it out all the time, and kind of saying they should have pulled it out even sooner. You know, like when they felt like things were going south.
That's my thing with tonight.
And it's not even about going south because of what the score is. It's about feeling the dominance of the matchup of the other team and being like, well, shit, let's throw this at them. So, yeah, I would have liked to see it sooner. I loved seeing them play together in that zone. It's not easy.
And that defense in that quarter was fantastic. They made a lot of plays in the fourth quarter, and Miami had 5 turnovers in the quarter, turning into 12 points for the Sacramento Kings. De'Aaron Fox also had a block in that quarter. So did Keegan Murray. Sacramento had 5 steals in the fourth quarter.
Hell yeah. I mean, the intensity, you guys, the way that they're getting up, and guys, it felt a little bit more like last night, like when De'Aaron, or for example, there was this, I don't know when this moment happened. I want to say it was in the fourth, and it was Kings had the ball. De'Aaron started losing it. Maybe it was Caleb Martin or whoever jumped on it. They both jumped on it. And
Fox
then
got pissed.
Yes, because so then it was a timeout, right? Caleb Martin was calling a timeout. The refs were calling it a timeout. Then Tyler Ford was allowing Eric Spoelstra to manipulate him to say, we never got a timeout. And then he goes, inadvertent whistle. And I'm like, no. De'Aaron gets so pissed, and he just goes up and he's like, he's calling a timeout down there on the floor. Like he's telling Mike Brown and everything. And good. Then they had to take the timeout. I loved seeing that passion from De'Aaron is my point. You know, you got a little bit of that angry fox, and that's when things started going in a different direction.
I need that pressure. You're just talking about the on-ball pressure from the Kings in that fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. And
the zone. Here's my question. And I don't know how you can even answer it, but I'm just throwing it out there.
What?
Why does that come when you're down 20 going into the fourth quarter? Why does that happen then? Like, why can't that happen earlier? Like, there were moments, for example, these big runs that they have allowed this year. And I know in today's game, we see massive runs with the three ball. That changes the scope of things here in the league. Why can't the wake up happen faster? Why can't that mentality shift sooner so you don't get yourself in a hole where you get down 20 and then you have to play perfect basketball down the stretch?
Right. So can I tell, this is kind of a weird example, but here's an example. You gain 20 pounds and you get desperate, and then you go, I'm desperate. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to work my ass off now. Why didn't you do that when you gained 10 pounds? Why didn't you do that when you gained 5? It's a mental shift, right? It's something that motivates you and triggers you to be like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. But my point to this is, you got to figure out when you're 5 pounds heavier to have that mental shift, not when you're down 20. You know what I mean?
But you can't be putting on 20 pounds 3 times a year.
If you can get out of it.
You can't do that. That's the whole point, is like, I love how they brought it in the fourth quarter. I love that they got back in the game. It's just, I think a lot of people who are watching the game tonight, if you stuck with it, or if you're at the game, you're sitting there going, I'm enjoying this and I hope you could pull it out, but couldn't you have just woken up a little bit? Because look, you got to score 36-19 in the third quarter. I mean, if that's 30-24, the game's different.
My point is, find your fire, find your mental shift without getting there, without things getting bad. How can you do that when you're 5 pounds heavier?
So
shift.
Here's my question is, who is that on?
That's on individuals. I mean, because like no. Because here's my thing. Because you can't go to the bench and look at, Mason Jones, can you hype everyone up?
Let's not talk about the fact the Kings finally lost the game with Mason Jones on the bench. Now 3-1.
Damn it. But you can't, you know what I mean? Like he's not like fairy godmother where he can just like sprinkle some hype dust on
Okay,
everybody.
that's not what I'm asking.
But no, I guess I'm getting to my point though, is that it is an individual thing on these people. And you can say that's coaching too. Yes, it's absolutely leadership, it's coaching, but it's on the individual to be like, okay, they want me to get up. They want me to do this. Sometimes a coach just will trust your best player to be like, okay, they're conserving some energy because, second night of back-to-back, they're making sure that they can like last the rest of the game, whatever. But there's other times, absolutely, you want to see a head coach just be like, get your ass up there. Like, what are you doing? This is what we're doing right now on this defensive possession, whatever. But yes, accountability with these individuals, you got to find a way to get that mental shift. Got to find it within.
So many awesome plays in the fourth quarter during the comeback. You had Keegan ripping it from Bam and then gets the ball back, hits a 3-ball to cut it to 105-95. Then you had Fox with an outstanding block. He blocked Duncan Robinson. It leads to a Keegan Murray 3, making it 106-98. I'm looking down my notes. The Kings cut to 6 with 5:47 to go after a Fox jumper.
Fun.
So a 6-point game just over halfway through the quarter. You're in it. That's a game now. Fox cuts it to 2, 110-108 with 3:24 to go. And then Miami just got it going. I thought it was really impressive. Jaime Jaquez Jr., who we've not spent a lot of time talking about quite yet because we're going in order here. He had some great baskets, including one on Kevin Huerter. And then he had an incredible one on Sabonis where he just absolutely fakes Sabonis out of his shoes, gets to the basket, bucket, and then it's 114-108. Bam hit some big shots down the stretch. I thought Jaquez was just a game changer tonight.
Annoyingly good.
And it's not a surprise. If anyone watched him play, I think there was zero doubt he was going to be a good NBA player. And then when Miami got him, you went, of course Miami got this guy. This guy's a stud. His footwork is tremendous. His ability to finish. He hits some really challenging shots in this game. He shoots it with confidence. He didn't really care who the Kings threw at him. I thought Keegan had some nice moments on him, but he also, I think, scored on Keegan too. He could put it on the floor, finish around the basket, got that turnaround jumper. Just a really good player. Miami
Loved his basics of what he could do on the floor and what his, I guess his mindset is as a competitor. And they just elevated that to another level. And they knew exactly, everyone knew exactly what Miami was going to do with him. Now, did we think it was going to be like this so quick? Maybe not so much dominance, but at the same time, like, are you surprised? This guy is just like, talk about a different mindset. Just so confident, but also so confident because he puts in the work, and he puts in the work mentally and physically. And it's fun seeing. He seems like one of those players where I'm going to be glad to see his success throughout his career, but shit, I'm going to hate playing him every single time.
26 points for him. He also had 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, 12 of 17 shooting. My goodness. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. I put this poll question out, Morgan. On a scale of 1 to 10, how annoyed are you? 1, relax. It's just a game, Deuce. 5, it's whatever. And 10, very WTF. 54% of people who have voted tonight say very WTF.
Whoa!
29% say it's whatever. 17% say relax. It's just a game.
I'm around the it's whatever.
In the chat, let's get to some of them. Gilbert says, I feel like Jaime got drafted to the perfect situation for him. No doubt. Nick Navarro says, can Keegan shoot the ball more? Dude, Keegan was on what tonight? We're going to go over some of the good of this game because there was some. Keegan was part of the good. And I thought, yeah, he was cooking. I want him to have the rock more. He finished with 28 points. He had 3 steals, 10 of 14 shooting, 6 of 7 from 3. Good to see him knock down some threes.
Yeah, his threes looked just really good. Talk about all in one motion, just the flow of the three, the way it was leaving his hands. He didn't look like he was hesitating at all, or even thinking twice when he was looking for a shot coming off a DHO, wherever it was. It was just confident, knowing exactly what he needed to do from beyond the arc, and he had a really good shooting night. It was fun to see.
Jeremy says, will you guys stop sugarcoating it and call it like it is? This coach does not have this team prepared. Look how often they lose to bad teams. Wake up! Jeremy. Well, Miami's not a bad team, one. I mean, this is not them losing to Portland shorthanded. This is not them losing to the Hornets shorthanded. Like, as I mentioned at the start of this, 3 of their players in the starting lineup tonight, including one All-Star, started in the NBA Finals last year. They're like not a joke. Miami's a really good franchise. I don't think this was anything about not being prepared. I think tonight came down to this. Miami was awesome, and the Kings put out some lineups that got absolutely exposed. They waited too long to adjust, and they get down 20. It's all there is to it. Like the Sacramento, their mentality has to shift quicker. So you call that sugarcoating? I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, I don't know if you want me to yell and put it out on social media and get all loud. Like, I don't know what you want from us. I'm just talking about what I saw tonight. And what I saw is a Kings team that struggled with a zone defense against Miami, a Kings team that didn't get engaged enough defensively sooner and didn't make adjustments quick enough. And that's why you lost an NBA game tonight.
Yeah.
I don't, like,
Yeah,
I don't, what do you want?
I mean, yeah. No. Not getting into that. Nope. Mm-mm.
What?
No, I find it so interesting how some people break down the game or see it. Like, what? And then, like, how I do it, how you do it. I mean, we all can have different observations and takes and how we want to feel emotionally and all the things. But at the same time, like, when you look at a team like the Miami Heat, even missing guys, they're absolutely not a bad team. I think that's such a lazy take sometimes that people want to go with when a team isn't fully healthy. Now, it doesn't excuse how the Kings performed at times in this game, especially even starting off in the first quarter when they kept losing the shit out of the basketball and not taking care of it. But then you look at the other side of things, you go, why was that happening? Oh, because Miami was really good defensively and also just being very handsy, very active. Like, you got to give credit where credit's due.
I think the one thing, too, I remind myself is when we go live after every single game, win or lose, on the nights you lose, you know, there's more venting in the chat, and it's just going to happen. And it's okay because people are upset.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people want me or you to come on here and, like, kick, scream, yell, and be like, what the F is this? Look, I'll do that when I feel that way. And I felt that way at times this year. Tonight was beyond frustrating. I just don't know what else you want me to say about it. Like what we said at the start. The basketball gods gift wrapped you something, a shorthanded team tonight, and you didn't take advantage. So, yeah, it's definitely disappointing. And now you got to find a way to bounce back against the defending champion Denver Nuggets, who just are coming off a really good win against the Golden State Warriors where they played some great basketball in the second half. Oh, and then you played Minnesota after that.
Some fun times ahead.
Yeah.
Fun.
But I understand the feeling of the letdown because this has happened a lot this year where you're just like, oh, the games you're supposed to win. Be mad about the Pistons game. Right, you're losing to the Pistons at home.
Yeah.
That was a shorthanded, awful team that you lost to. The Blazers on the road.
Oh, dear God.
Shorthanded, bad team. Hornets, bad team, shorthanded. Those are the games that just eat at you. And 2 of those games, you lost at home.
Yeah.
And so I think the point you said is like, if this is one that happens earlier in the season, you don't have the other ones, you go, oh, it's frustrating, but whatever. But now, like, we're in the point of the season, you're watching the standings every day. We're getting excited that they jumped to 5th last night. Well, now with this loss, you dropped to 7. And it seems like all the teams from 5 to 10,
Ooh.
they win some key games and they jump up and then they lose a couple and fall down. But you got to figure it out here.
This was the other thought I had after tonight, too. I was like, you guys, breaking news.
Yeah.
The Kings aren't going to win the rest of their games. There's 25 games left. They're not going to go 25-0. They're just not going to. And that, to me, just that thought is frustrating because I go, holy shit, though. What is that record going to look like? What is it going to be? I mean, even if you're just losing 5 of those games, it's like, wow, you're playing some really good basketball in this last part of the season. But it's going to be a roller coaster. Now, a roller coaster can be janky and not fun, and like,
Right.
Or the roller coaster can go up and down and still be smooth, where you can still have the feelings of like, oh my God, that was such a good game, but they just couldn't pull it out. Where tonight, I'm a little bit everywhere with this one because I go, there was so much. I shouldn't exaggerate about so much good. There was a lot of good in this game that made me happy and excited to talk about in tonight's night chat, win or lose. But then when they did lose and the reasons why, that's where my emotions kind of changed to just like, I'm annoyed.
It's wild looking at the end of this because we just went over Miami's box score with some of these guys, right? Jaquez with 26, Bam at 28 points, 10 rebounds, 7 dimes. Caleb Martin, God, he played aggressive. He had a great move off the dribble, lowered his shoulder a little bit, create contact on Keegan and one. He finished with 16 points and 6 rebounds. DeLon Wright, I thought, was an absolute pest. So annoyed that Miami got him on the buyout market. Just the perfect Miami Heat player. 13 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, just everywhere defensively. Did a great job, I thought, for them. 15 for Highsmith, and then we mentioned the 19 for Kevin Love. For Sacramento tonight, one thing that jumped out to me.
Yes.
Sabonis finished with another triple-double.
He did.
21 on the season, another double-double, obviously. He had 14 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists. He only took 8 shots in this game. 8 shots.
This was one of the frustrating triple-doubles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And where you go, oh, man, they did a hell of a job on him. And that's the one area of concern I have is like, okay, he means so much to this team. If he is not involved and he's not getting the ball in the spots he likes and is not able to orchestrate as smoothly as he does, dude, this is what teams watch, right? Like teams watch these things so come playoff time, they could try to take you out of your game.
And that's what happened in last year's playoffs. Now you go, okay, experience as well really helps some of these teams. And you look at Miami, they have experience in the NBA Finals. I mean, this team specifically, they have experience in the postseason, all the things. The Kings, they have one playoff series now under their belt. But what I love about Domas this season so far, one of the things that we questioned about his game in the beginning was when he's matched up against some of these other bigs, like, for example, Zubats. What did he do last night? He did a great job. He went through his chest. He did all the things he needed to do. He made this in-season adjustment to be like, no, I'm not going to let these bigs dominate me. I'm going to get stronger, and I'm going to go through them. Now, you go up against someone like Bam, who's just smart, athletic, can put the ball on the floor, just can do it all. So good. And then the rest of this team and what they put together to slow down the anchor of this Sacramento Kings squad, well, now you got to figure it out because this is the shit you are going to see if you make another playoff series.
Yeah, he had 14 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 turnovers in 40 minutes, 6 of 8 shooting. He was 1 of 4 at the free throw line tonight. By the way, that was the other big swing tonight. Free throws. Sacramento, 7 of 12, 58%. Miami, 20 of 25.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Miami just
executing.
it was brilliant tonight.
Yeah, and well, I felt like the Kings really could have made those adjustments that we keep talking about, whether it was with the lineup, whether it was about flicking the switch mentally and being able to like get up, leave it all out there on the floor. You just don't want to end this season with any regrets. And I put this game on this season because, like I've already mentioned 700 times, every single W down this stretch is just so very important.
Some people in the chat mentioning that De'Aaron Fox did not shoot a free throw tonight. Was there anything glaring on?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I think I even texted you about it when Highsmith was like just all over him, handsy. But I respect it because he never changed. Like, that is what he did. And he basically said to the refs, this is what I'm going to do. So are you going to call this all game, or am I going to just like be able to like play my defense? And I think when you get to set your tone, like this is my standard, it's just different. So yes, there was those moments.
I thought they did a hell of a job just making sure anytime he even got in the paint, it was
difficult.
Quick attention. Like, they were concerned. They just made life hard. Like, the Kings love their spray through. I mean, every team likes to get the paint touch and spray for three, but Sacramento really likes doing that. They like getting out in transition. Miami's not only in their zone, mucking things up, but then they're picking you up full court.
Oh my God.
And on the second night of a back-to-back, they're trying to exhaust you a little bit.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, you're not going to push the pace on us tonight. We're going to make you think. We're going to put some pressure on you. We're going to force you to bring someone else to get the ball up and make you get into your stuff a little bit later than you normally like to. And then here's the zone. I mean, it's brutal.
Brutal. You could feel it. And that's where I was impressed with De'Aaron Fox and some of the other Kings guys. Like, I thought they still did a good job of pushing through, and even after being down 20 and having these tired legs, still trying to push through, be resilient, and pull out a win in that fourth. And yeah, like that's where I go, okay, this is where the good was. And I know there's every single time I feel like that we talk about the good, we have to like preface it with the bad because someone's going to be like, you're sugarcoating shit, or get so pissed off because we're not like throwing the desk over into the windows, the nice Northwest exterior windows. But truly it's some of those things that I saw from this Kings team on a second night of a back-to-back. I was impressed with.
Yeah, De'Aaron had 27 points, 8 rebounds. He had 6 assists, 3 steals. The number that's going to haunt him tonight because of that Miami defense, 7 turnovers for Fox.
Yeah.
7 turnovers. I believe that's a season high for him.
I mean, and that's just taking care of the basketball when someone's all up in your grill. And that's exactly what the Heat were doing. And sure, we can sit here and give the Heat even more love. But for De'Aaron, you just go, where do you either get to a point where you're ripping through and trying to manipulate an officiating crew too? You know, like these veteran moves. Like when do you try to use some of those things? And yeah, and instead I just think the Heat were doing just a much better job of putting that pressure on.
The Kings in the fourth quarter, they started the quarter with Fox, Herter, Duarte, Lyles, and Sabonis. At the 9:52 mark, they went with Fox, Herter, Keegan, Lyles, Sabonis. That was the group that finished the game for the Kings. You did not see Malik Monk play a minute in the fourth quarter. Harrison Barnes only played 6 minutes in the second half, did not play in the fourth quarter either.
Why was that?
I think the Monk thing, I don't know. I think that's the other thing. Like we talk about, okay, you don't want to go too small. We're referencing the lineup that they had earlier with Mitchell and Herter out there and the size issues, right? You don't have any size with some of the bigs that are out there. I think he wanted Herter's length out there. Now, Herter also...
And I liked Herter out there at times.
He ends up with he had 14 points, 2 of 9 from 3, 5 of 15 from overall. Here's my thing. This might be a little more of, hindsight's 2020.
What?
I mean, if they're going to try to go at Herter.
Yeah.
I want Monk out there. I just want another ball handler out there. I want a guy that is a threat who.
I get it. I get what you're saying, but I felt Herter's size on that defensive end at times. And I get like we can talk about go back and watch all the bad plays too when they would be like, we're gonna hunt him down, we're gonna shoot.
And that was the
him.
problem. Is my thing is if they're gonna hunt him, like then fine, let them hunt Monk, but Monk is going to be such a threat on the other end to put pressure on it, and it allows Fox to maybe play off ball a little bit, or allows Monk to play off ball. I don't know. I just like Monk closing games a lot, and I just it's tough to me. And I guess part of it, too, is like, hey, this is the lineup that got us back in the game. This lineup cut it to 2. We got to keep rolling with it. So maybe that was the thought process. Is like
a lot of it was
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's exactly it. Like, why wouldn't you roll with what was working? I mean, how many times have we complained about, there being times where they're not rolling with a rotation that's like working for them? Why screw with that, right? And so maybe that was probably the mindset, but I also understand the mindset of being like having a guy like Malik Monk and having his spirit out there, having that competitive nature out there, especially when you need it most. But look, that lineup there got them back into the game, almost came back to win the game, and it just still wasn't enough. And maybe Deuce, maybe that's where I'm feeling it too.
Yeah.
Where I go, when the Kings even were down 6, right? Or down 2. Maybe that's where the adjustments for Mike Brown come in, and that's where you put in Monk and be like, okay, you know what? Like, now it's time for you to go off. Now it's time for you to knock down a 3. Herter's 2 of 9. He's doing a good job moving without the basketball and stuff, but like, we just need that extra spark on the offensive end as well.
Hayden says, such an annoying loss. Thanks for podcasting, even on losses like this. Always excited to tune in. Well, thanks, Hayden. I appreciate that. Manny says, just a bad loss. No, it definitely was a bad loss for sure. Our buddy Jeremy, who's mad because we're not yelling, says, can't wait to hear D'Lo and KC tomorrow. Same.
Them.
We actually, I listen every day, literally. So.
Oh, but wait, is he trying to be mean about it?
Yes, he is. Jeremy's in his feelings tonight.
Okay, Jeremy, calm the fuck down. Like, no, we're not doing this, sweetie.
She's insane.
I'm
man.
like going to protect my energy and
Kings on the night shoot 53%, 40% from 3. They finished with 15 turnovers, so they only had 4 turnovers in the second half. Miami, though, 51% shooting, 36% from 3, 20 of 25 from the free throw line. And they do it with a thin lineup. We're going to take some Discord calls, too, in a few minutes. We should mention that tonight's podcast presented by our friends over at Northwest Exteriors. If you need new windows, there's no better place to go, Morgan Reagan.
there's no better place to go. And actually, I now have a Northwest Exteriors family. My sister's getting some windows done after she saw the work that was done for me. And it's understandable. I know we've had other podcast listeners also reach out and get some quotes as well. And that's all you need to do. Whether you're like, hey, is my house not staying warm enough in the winter or not cool enough in the summer? Just reach out, get a free quote.
It's pretty simple. Go to their website, trustnorthwest.com, or their showroom in Rancho Cordova, because they are Morgan Reagan. Simply the best. Trust Northwest. I swear I had it right that time. It's in my head now. I've got the yips with this.
Okay, try it again.
Okay. Simply the best. Yeah, I'm done with it.
Okay. Yep, not
They're
tonight.
awesome.
Not
Appreciate
tonight.
that.
Not tonight.
Man. Morgan, what would be your moment of the game tonight?
My moment of the game.
One moment that probably sticks with me. We have to put that Miami was shorthanded on it, right?
Yes.
Maybe the play of the game for Miami was the Caleb Martin jam. And then on the other end, Trey Lyles taking it to the basket and bam with the dagger block.
Why is this your moment?
Because, Morgan, the whole point of moments aren't just good moments. It's supposed to remember the season and what happened. You could put one good one on there if you want.
I like to make my memory have some happy moments. No, okay. Yeah, I'm good with your moments. I'm looking back at some of my notes and just like,
I'll say Keegan. Keegan was really good
oh,
tonight.
that's a good. There we go. Positive energy.
I'm
from
still putting the
Kings.
other one on there,
That,
too.
no,
though.
and that's fair because I want to remember a lot of like what this game was about. But 6 of 7 from the 3-point line for Keegan Murray. Love it.
Yeah, he was awesome. Sharif Jewelers moment of the game. Who is your rock and soul player of the game, Morgan Reagan?
I already know who you're gonna put. So,
Who?
Jaime Jaquez.
Yes.
Yeah. And well deserved. I mean, what a stud. What a dude. 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, just playing with his full heart out there.
He's the man.
He
I like
really
it. I like his
is.
game. I will give an honorable mention to Keegan Murray, too. I thought he was really good. But you know what? Kings lost. You lose at home to a shorthanded team. You don't get the Rock and Soul player of the game. Check out Rock and Soul Diner just 6 blocks away from Golden One Center in downtown Sacramento. It's amazing food. You get a breakfast for dinner. That's a W.
Yeah. And if you just go watch a Kings game there, you can get 25% off apps and 25% off drinks during the entire Kings game.
All right, Morgan, we got a little extra time tonight, so we should talk to the people. Let's kick things off in our Discord by talking to Manny.
Manny.
Hi, Manny.
Hi, guys.
Oh, you're not okay?
It's so frustrating, man.
Yeah.
Like watching that masterpiece yesterday and then this, like, it's like, dude, look, I love Spoelstra, right? Like, as being a Bulls fan, watching the stuff that he's done, he's a genius coach. I think even as much credit as he gets, I still don't think he's underappreciated a lot. His ability to end game, make adjustments, no matter what the lineup he puts out there is incredible at times, right? Like I fully expected that team to be in the game most of the game. I just didn't expect them to be up 20 at some
I
point.
know.
That's
I
it.
And that's
know.
what it is. Like, dude, his bam, great. Jaime, I love Jaime. Loved him. Wish he had been on the I knew it was gonna be they couldn't do it, but like I would have loved to have seen him on the Kings. I would have picked him a lot higher than what he went, but he's perfect fit over there, right? But
Yeah.
other
Uh-oh.
than that, like Caleb's good too. Like, but this is our A team. Like this is like almost, I know Sasha's out and all that, and Len's still a little bit jammed up, but I, I was it's one of the biggest disappointments this year for me,
Oh, Manny.
especially after the way everything went the last game. Like, it's just how do you go from that to this?
Yeah,
Like,
Manny,
it's
by
crazy
the way,
to me.
Manny, you keep cutting out, too. I don't know what's happening.
The end, right? Like watching them get it back to
Yep.
4
Manny,
Manny.
6.
can you hear us?
Manny.
Manny
but
can't hear
it's
us.
too late. Yeah. Oh, what's up?
Your phone keeps cutting out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it sounds good at the moment. It does sound good, but
Okay.
it kept cutting out. No, I'm with you,
Sorry,
man. That's
man.
the thing. And I led that tonight with the podcast. It's like, dude, anyone who actually watches the NBA on a regular basis is not surprised that Miami played hard. Like they're going to do that. Like that's just what they do. But it's to your point, getting down 20 at home. I'm sick of seeing them get down 20 in these games at home. You dig yourself out of a monster hole. It's a crappy feeling after what happened in LA the previous night.
And I know everybody wanted to see moves made at one point and improvements, but I also look at from the opposite of that too, right? Is that this team has been together 2 years now,
Yeah.
where I just expect, like, with even if they plateaued with this current version of this team, like, but you guys have been together long enough not to do this. Like, losses happen, things happen, guys aren't hitting shots at times, but they miss so many defensive assignments at times. I just feel like they should be, even if they were the same as what they were last year, right? Like, there's just something like, dude, you guys you've been in this scheme long enough.
Yeah, you know what's wild though? I didn't feel like tonight it was, oh man, the defensive effort's a joke.
Right.
I felt like they just that's where I go back to what we were talking about earlier. Just some of the lineups out there. I'm like, you can't be going small against this. They're just picking you apart. And then the Kings, it seems like when they're out of whack offensively, when they're not getting what they want, they're just frazzled. They're just frazzled in general. And they looked uncomfortable tonight. The same thing happened when the Kings were in Miami just a month ago or whatever that was. The Kings could not get anything going offensively. Why? That zone defense again. The Kings just weren't comfortable. When the Kings got back in the game, what happened? Well, they forced turnovers and they were on the run. And then they're off. Oh, man, they're knocking down threes. They're pushing the tempo. But when you're not getting stops and then you're in the half court, they're picking up full court. Miami just put on a clinic, I thought, against Sacramento today.
And then even when they were when they got it to 4, Deuce, they got it to 4. And in my head, I'm watching it and I'm like, watch them take an ill-advised 3. Like instead of they've got them backpedaling, now push it down to the hole. And I forgot who took the 3, but it wasn't the greatest 3 shot. I'm like, you're letting them off the hook. You have them on the ropes. Like, go to the hole now. You've hit a couple 3s in a row. Switch it up for the next play. They're already backpedaling, but it's a little bit too little, too late, right? Like again, like it's that. Like you said, when it's that also that inability, like, okay, they're up 10. Okay, they're up 14. Like, come on, guys. Like, you see what's going, you see the spiral happening. Let's go. And it's like you said, they get frazzled. They're all over the place. And then all of a sudden it's at 20 at the end of 3. And it's like, dude, what just happened? Because the first half was fine. Like, got up 10. I know they gave up the 10, but it's like, all right, we're still here. We're still here. We knew Miami was going to be scrappy. Fine. Let's come out in this third quarter. Let's push it down. Nope. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I have a question real quick because I wasn't sure. It was Len out or was he available?
I think that he was available tonight. Tonight. I don't know like how he's doing, but I mean, if he's, cleared, I imagine he's good to go. And Mike did not go to him tonight. Or JaVale McGee. They went small again.
Yeah, that's a killer, man. And Domas, they put so much on that dude.
I mean, he played 40 minutes on the second half of back-to-back. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot. You're asking a lot for him.
I felt like that last night too, dude. I was like, man, he's played a lot of minutes today. I wonder what they're going to do with him this next game because I feel like I don't even remember him coming out for much yesterday. And I was like, okay. And he has such a heavy response. That's another thing with the national media. It's like, bro, do y'all see? I know Fox is the man, but in a lot of ways, Domas is the man. Like everything funnels through him. Like he is literally the point. He's the point center. Like it's just crazy how much it's crazy.
Well, Manny, thanks for checking in, dude.
Thanks, guys. Love y'all.
There's Manny. Always good to hear from Manny. I believe this next person on the phone, I could be wrong. I don't know. I can't really see the full name, but I think this could be our dear friend, Morgan.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Oh, let's go.
Jeremy, is that you?
Oh, no, this isn't Jeremy.
Oh, he said he was here. Oh,
who is this?
Sorry, this is Chang. I've been a long-time viewer.
Yeah.
Dude, sorry, man. Jeremy in the chat said he was gonna be there, so my bad.
Yeah, no, sorry to ruin the surprise.
No, this is.
Oh my God, no! Please.
I know everyone's in the chat's waiting for Jeremy, but I'm like, nope, sorry. You can switch me out when Jeremy's there. But
No. We want to hear from a normal person.
What's on your mind, man? How are you feeling tonight?
No, I mean maybe to calm down Jeremy. I think myself, I don't know if it's the same for you both, but I mean my expectations with this team is just making the playoffs. I mean, I think in the beginning of the season, I was hoping we can go to the second round, but I mean, we're just so inconsistent. I just feel that, we're just going to be, at this point, hopefully a first round exit, and I think that's why these losses don't hurt as much anymore when you kind of just see, okay, this is a team that's just been the same throughout the year. We're up and down. I don't know. I think to me, it's just at that level where now it just, I think I can understand why Jeremy is, very disappointed because I think as Kings fans, we thought we were going to make that jump and we're still just, we're not great, as Mike Brown says, good to great. We're still just good. We're not even at the R letter yet. So I don't know.
And it's really hard. Like, by the way, I think sometimes too, because this is how I felt before, I think, the All-Star break. And it was, I turned to Deuce, and it could have even been after a loss. I don't even know. And, you know, talking about what even your expectations and a lot of Kings fans and even my expectations were so much higher going into this season. But then I took a step back before the All-Star break and I was like, shit, I really enjoy watching good basketball. And we had so much shitty basketball for so long, like consistent, awful, bad basketball, bad energy, all these things that I remember I have to put in perspective that what I'm watching right now is still good. Doesn't mean that I can't be emotional about it, but it's still good. And I think when I look at all these other franchises around the league and the crap that they have to watch, the Wizards, the Blazers, the Pistons or the Spurs, even all these losing teams.
I thought you were naming all the teams that beat the Kings this year.
I know, right? And I just go, again, I'm not like my standards are still high, but I just remember how bad times were that I go, wait, I'm still watching a product out there that is good, that is ultimately really good, but I still want it to be better. And it still makes me emotional at times. But perspective, just, I don't know. And I probably shouldn't say this after a loss because everyone's going to go,
I might jump on you for this.
That shit crazy. But like, and that's fine. But my perspective is my perspective and how I want to view things. And I don't know. It's just something that I thought about because I love basketball. I respect the game and I respect watching good basketball being played by a team that I root for.
I'm curious if I have a take for you both. I'm curious if you agree or disagree with this, but after watching this whole season, I felt like we brought the same players back, but we didn't bring the same team back. And I think what I mean by that is I think Keegan's development was maybe unforeseen by the team. I think they were high on him, but I just remember last year starting was Casey Akapala because I went to that game. And I remember Casey got like 1 or 2 fouls early on, and he would just vanish to like the bench, and Keegan came in, and because I felt like last year we played through so much of Kevin Herter and Harrison Barnes, and I feel like this year when we came back, we want to play through Fox, Sabonis, and Keegan. And to be honest, I feel like that's the reason why we were having so many inconsistencies where we're down by 50 at home against the Pelicans because I love Keegan, but I just don't think he's ready for that role yet because I think he's still balancing out the offense and defense. And it's odd because I felt more recently we've reverted back to a team from last year where we played more through Keegan. No, not Keegan, but Kevin and Harrison. And the fact that we've seen kind of like a resurgence of Davion because it was weird to see Davion just disappear where Keon came in. So it seems that, to me, I almost feel like Mike Brown was trying to change the identity of the team. And I'm not sure if it's this sense of, hey, we got to play what we have, and what worked better was what worked last year. So let's play through that and just kind of have Keegan more in that defensive role this year. So I'm not sure if you agree or disagree with that because I felt like that was such the jarring thing where more recently I just felt like we've played more of a similar style of last year.
I mean, they definitely were making a concerted effort early in the year to try different things. Their whole thing was like, hey, we're not just going to rely on what we did all of last year because that got taken away. When teams start blowing off your dribble handoffs, the entire playoffs, right? The Warriors just blew up everything. They were denying, they were top locking, making things so challenging for the Kings. And then guys aren't knocking down shots. The Kings offense was not good in that series. It really wasn't. They had moments. And then they didn't know what to do when things weren't going well. Yeah. So Mike's whole thing is like, hey, we can take some lumps early in the season because the reality is we want to be a playoff team, but we want to win in the playoffs. So let's get to the playoffs. And if things are taken away from us, we know what to do. We know we can go do a horn set here. We know we could run this here for Keegan. They wanted to just diversify the game a little bit for this team to not be so predictable. So yeah, I think that might have hurt things early on, but like guys also missed shots. Like Herter couldn't make anything, and we can go deeper into that. The reasons for that we've talked about where he's struggling in his head, but I think the Duarte stuff early in the preseason probably messed with his head a little bit, and I don't think he had a great leash. Keegan got off to a really slow shooting start, so. And then their role guys haven't really been productive, right? Some of the guys that they did pick up in the offseason. So I think there are many factors. I do agree with you. It seems like they're making sure to get back to some of the stuff that worked well last year.
Yeah.
But it also helps when, like, Sabonis is playing out of his mind right now. Fox, the Kings start playing better. Well, Fox is playing better now. Herter's starting to knock down shots consistently. They're making sure he's engaged. So, yeah, I kind of see that too, where they're making sure to have a little more balance again, Morgan.
Yeah, and the balance, because I think sometimes going from good to great, it was like their goal, but they could go from good to great even in a DHO, right? And I mentioned that because they were already really good at executing it, and then you look at the series against the Warriors and it being stopped and slowed down, all these things, but there's still ways to execute a DHO on even a higher level. For example, the other night, I think it was against the Clippers, when the Clippers knew it was going to be a DHO with Sabonis and Herter. So they were trying to stop it early, and Herter recognized De'Aaron backdoor cuts. Herter, instead of like following through with the entire, like coming off the dribble handoff from Sabonis, notices the cut from De'Aaron, gets a nice, beautiful bounce pass, leads him to the basket. Just my point of this being is there's other ways to even get better in your DHO game, to get better in your two-man game. And I think they were trying to take a whole leap of, well, they're figuring out the DHO and we're good at it. Let's get good at pick and rolls. Let's get good at this. Let's get good at this. And it's like, no. Do what you're great at, get even better at it, and then keep adding as time goes. I don't know.
There?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just listening. But yeah, I do have a maybe follow-up question.
Yeah.
Is maybe in this ideal scenario, and we make it to the Western Conference, finals.
Wow.
Would you hope that this team stays together, or do you think this team just been too flawed to the point where if we make that miracle run, it's still just that's fool's gold? Don't kind of believe in that run.
I mean,
Don't make
You
changes
that
or
run.
I need some context here, because in my head, to be honest with you, my expectations are like, I think best case scenario for this group, it's probably like they get to the second round. But like, also, they got to get there. Like, they got to get to the playoffs. And this is a challenge. Like you said at the beginning of this, that you had expectations for this team to go to the playoffs. And I think a lot of fans are guilty of this. Sometimes we get guilty of like, yeah, so when the Kings are in the playoffs, we got to stop saying win. Like, this is going to be a battle down the stretch. You have a lot of home games for sure, but there's some tough games. And this race from 5 to 10 is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in a play-in. That's a one-game thing.
In the Western
and things
Conference,
can change.
yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. So no, obviously, sure, have whatever expectations that we all want, but yeah, that's the truth of it right now. Is the Western Conference is just on a different level. And when you look across the East right now, you see where the Kings would probably be in those standings, and it sounds like a much easier road, but it's not going to be easy in the West.
I think the only reason why I bring this up is it makes me think of the Atlanta Hawks, where they made that Eastern Conference, run. If the Kings were to make that similar run, do you think it's more of we just had an easier run this time, or do you think there is something with this core? Or I guess that's my question.
Yeah,
because
I feel like it's an impossible thing to answer, because I don't know the context. Like, is your path to the playoffs taking on a whole bunch of teams that got, injuries at the last second? You're able to get to the conference finals earlier, or did you play amazing basketball and just dominate teams? I don't know what that looks like. Now, I think no matter what, if you're trying to build this thing out and you're trying to build long-term, the goal is to win a championship. So you should always be, if you fall short of that, you should always be finding ways to tweak things and understanding the big picture. Yes, you have an 82-game sample size. That should matter. Playoffs matter too. But yeah, if you made it to the conference finals, I don't know. You'd have to just look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Can this team do it again? Do they have the upside to do it again? Or do they need some legitimate tweaks? I think anyone in their right mind looks at this Kings team today and goes, they're going to need some tweaks this offseason.
Yeah. Obviously, the way that it's constructed, and it's like, you look at a game like tonight and you go, Mike Brown and maybe some of his rotations, but at the same time, what he had to work with. So
I think maybe my last question is,
Yeah.
I think we have such fond memories of the Beam team, and especially from how many years we didn't make the playoffs. I mean, I guess my question to you is, I think everyone knows changes are going to happen, especially with the starting lineup. When that day does happen, I mean, how would you both feel when changes are going to happen? Do you just feel that I don't know. It's this weird feeling of like I almost feel that because of where they are currently with the standings, and I think just even with all the fans, I think we know major changes are going to have to happen. I mean, how are you guys going to feel when the Beam team does unfortunately kind of like lose the core that we've been so used to?
Hey,
Is it
man.
something?
It's life, man. Change is inevitable.
Well-
I mean, think back to I don't know. I grew up watching the early 2000s Kings. One of the most popular players in franchise history was Jason Williams. They traded him. Corliss Williamson was a big part to this team. They traded him. He became a 6th man of the year in Detroit. Like, tough decisions happen. Hito was a big part of what the Kings had. They traded him for Brad Miller. Like, that's part of it. And it's tough sometimes. You win them, you lose them sometimes, but that's part of it. And you hope that you have the foundation in place with the coaching staff and your key players that you can change your identity and build build with a new group.
Also, patience is so important too, right? And seeing what you really do want within a culture and within an organization. And that's why I believe in the keeping certain things together while also making tweaks and changes that make sense for your future.
I don't know if that answered it, man. But
No, it did. And again, I just want to thank you for having me on this call.
God,
So
thank
you guys are doing
you.
great. And honestly, I love Deuce's heel persona, and of course, Mo's like the baby face. So I love kind of the wrestling.
Well, apparently tonight I'm not yelling enough for some people. Should I yell more? Do you think I should be angrier on the podcast?
Weird one person.
I mean, I felt bad for Mo because Mo's getting that Roman Reigns heat, and she's just trying to.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but she's just getting that Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
She's the face. She's the face, but for some reason, the crowd is throwing tomatoes. But just know that you have our support, Mo. So.
Hey,
thanks for having us.
appreciate the love.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
That's cute.
Appreciate that. Also in the chat, how about the fact that the Kings never ride the hot hand? Keegan brought them back within 2. I understand Fox is Mr. Clutch, but run some sets with him and Fox in 2-man and everyone else stay clear. Yeah, I like that idea. I also want to acknowledge, too, Fox had 11 points in the fourth quarter, too, on 5 of 7 shooting. Keegan had 11 points on 4 of 5 shooting. So both those guys were at hot. I mean, they did score 22 of the 29 points in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I mean, I think the thing that hurt Keegan tonight was he had to sit a large chunk because of foul issues. And, I mean, he picked up his 5th foul late in the game. I think it was like at 5 minutes to go. But, it's like you had to be careful with that too. But, yeah, I do agree big picture-wise. Like, dude, if he's going like that,
let him roll.
Keep getting him
Get
the
it,
rock.
Chum.
Let's find some other ways to get him going.
And I feel like this is such an unselfish team that they're down to ride with that. I want to make sure, too, to get to our super chats, too.
Let's get to some super chats. All right. This one, Oleg donates $5 saying this one hurts. Kevin Love, 19 points in 15 minutes.
Appreciate you.
Yes. that did hurt. He looked like prime Kevin Love again. Also, Kevin Love, a nice role player for that Miami team, but
absolutely
shouldn't be getting 19 points in 15 minutes of work.
Not too many for me.
It was like watching him in Minnesota
but
again.
there was one 3 that he made, like Sabonis was contesting it and he still made it. I was like, what the hell?
Hey, man. He could still shoot it.
Yeah.
Keegan Murray Watch donates $2 saying wasted Keegan blackout game. Yeah, Keegan was really strong. And for someone who has been so up and down with his shooting this year, it was good to see him knock down shots. The 3-point shooting has not been as good. I think coming in tonight, right around 35% from 3.
Yeah.
He shot 40%. His defense has taken a dramatic step. Shout out to Hunter Patterson over at The Athletic who did an exclusive sit down with Keegan talking about the strides he's made. So there's so much to like about Keegan long term. I think, too, going back to the last caller, finding that balance of like, all right, how can Keegan, and is it just doing it, just getting used to it, bring what he does defensively all the time and still have something left in the tank?
Yeah. And
to have nights like this.
And it just takes time. And I feel like it's been almost a full season of it now with 25 games left where you're going, okay, can you continue on a night like this? You know, especially though without fouling, staying on the floor, but being able to shoot like this while playing some very aggressive defense.
Super chat from fourth quarter, $5 Canadian saying, hey, at least it's not 2 to 3 years ago night chats. Definitely trending in the right direction. Oh, it didn't say night chats. It said 2-3 years ago, right. I thought it said night.
Well,
but same
right.
thing. Yeah. I mean, that's one way. Hey, at least it wasn't that long ago.
No, it's crazy to think about sometimes.
Just, yeah.
Wild.
And it just shows you how quick things change.
That
like,
is my point of enjoying good basketball when it's in front of you, though.
I'm talking about within 24 hours. I mean, how good did you feel waking up this morning? I had a pep in my step. Oh, man, the Fox played angry last night. Oh, Miami's shorthanded. Oh, let's lock them up.
Yeah, no, it was a good feeling. It was a very good feeling.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate Jeremy. We've officially hidden his messages. He's just trolling nonstop. He doesn't like you.
I know some men get
you know what
very
it is?
insecure.
Yeah, Morgan, as a woman, you got to understand. People don't really like what you're saying.
Oh, you think I am 35? I understand where I'm at with this.
Well, can I mansplain to you
please,
if you don't
yes,
mind?
if you could mansplain this to me. I'm sure that's what Jeremy is dying to do. By the way, can I just say one thing too? It's just so weird to me when like someone wants to be a keyboard warrior and like doesn't want to just have a conversation.
Right.
And I don't know if Jeremy's 15. I don't know if Jeremy's 50. Either way, it's creepy and weird. It's just like, just be normal. I'm like, oh, God. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I hope you get better.
Oh, man. Emiliano in the chat says, back-to-back games is this team's kryptonite as well as all of their other kryptonite adjacent elements. Yeah, the back-to-back thing, they had some moments where they looked better, but yeah, tonight. I feel like Miami's like the worst team to play on a back-to-back.
Well, yeah. I mean, a rested Miami team, and whether they're shorthanded or not, it's just like you never know what you're going to get handed at you, except you pretty much do. You know that they're just not going to let anything go easy. And those teams are sometimes the hardest, and that's why I was really proud that the Kings were not letting up. That's what, as soon as the fourth quarter hit, I was like, I started to make myself tea, and then I'm like looking from the side. You know when you can like see the TV but it's like kind of a blur, but you can see what's going on. Keegan 3, and I'm like, okay, that's cute. Keegan 3, I'm like, okay, what? And like, I'm like, boil faster water, and then like all the shit's going down, and I'm like, no way. The way that they're playing defense, all those things, it was fun to see.
Well, next up for the Sacramento Kings, they hit the road now. They don't have a ton of road games left, but they hit the road Wednesday against the Denver Nuggets, and then they go Friday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Wednesday's going to be very interesting. I imagine that Denver will be at full strength. They did have all their guys against Golden State Warriors. They do not play a game between now and Wednesday. It's actually the first night of a back-to-back for them. They play the Kings, and then they play the next night against the Miami Heat, actually.
Did you look at that?
This is going to be a really tough challenge. I watched Denver Golden State yesterday, and Denver could not have gone off to a war start. They just were not playing well, but then they got their stuff together. They got back in the game, and then they cruised to a victory over a Warriors team who had been playing some pretty good basketball. Also, like, I just look at Denver, and they're looking at Sacramento going, we cannot lose to this team again. Sacramento has yet to play them at full strength. We've seen them play the Nuggets twice without Jamal Murray, twice without KCP, and one of the times without Michael Porter.
Always with Jokic.
Always with Jokic, but this Denver team, to me,
is when they're a team, they play so good together.
Their starting five is so good. There's the biggest question with them is their bench. They're relying on so many young guys. They've It's been a little major turnover, and I think they thought these young guys would be better for them. That's their area of weakness, but that starting five can defend. They could score. Jokic, we know what he can do. I imagine they're going to be ready to send a serious message coming up on Wednesday against Sacramento.
Damn. I mean, tough to hear, but also like you're being realistic.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and they play well at home. I know the Kings won there in the final game before the break, but you're gonna have to be locked in against that group. There's just
Locked
no
in.
other way to put it, and I think they're gonna have a different type of mentality. They're gonna be like, dude, we're at full strength. We're gonna go ahead and punk this team.
if the Kings can play like they did against the Clippers, would that give you any hope? Like, okay, this is who the Kings are in these last 25 games. And because even tonight's game, you're not sitting here disgusted with their performance. You're annoyed by their loss, more so, but you're not disgusted like we have been before. So I don't know if for some reason they could play like that. Would you feel more confident in these last 25 games, being like, wow, against these two really good teams, this is how the Kings played?
If they were to beat them,
yeah. I mean, if they were,
if Sacramento bounced back and beat the Nuggets on the road at full strength, yeah, I'd be beyond impressed. Yes, I would be. It'd make me feel really good. I just, I have a tough time seeing it because the Kings have gotten them 3 times this year. Denver's at home. I don't know. Prove me wrong. I'd love to see it. And then you go on the road to take on Minnesota. My whole thing was over this stretch that started last game against the Clippers is, can you get 2? Well, you got one against the Clippers. You should have had one tonight, and you didn't get it. So now, can you get one of the next 2? That's the problem. You don't want this to tailspin into a 3-game skid, right? Well, you just had a chance at a 4-game winning streak, feeling super good. Oh, we're solidifying that 5 spot for the moment. You lose tonight in a game that you felt like you had a good chance in. If you lose the next 2, where are you at in the standings?
Dude,
then you're back in the plane, and this is the ride.
It's going to be up and down for a little bit right now. Yep. So buckle up, everybody. Buckle up, Buttercup.
Let's get to some final thoughts, Morgan. You got any tonight?
Final thoughts. I think in this stretch, 25 games left.
Sure.
I think so, yeah. That's how many. Why?
Okay.
Why do you say that?
I don't know.
Usually you just know the number.
I can do the math for you if you want. You can talk while I do the math.
I was shaking my head to the camera.
Yeah, 25 games.
25 games. No, and I knew that, but I should have just been confident. 25 games left, and I know we all want to experience what we experienced last year. But that's why last year Deuce and I kept saying all throughout the year, enjoy the journey. It's never going to feel like this again, which is true. The come up, there's just something different about it. But doesn't mean that you can't still experience joy. And what I would say in some of the losses, share all of your emotions, but be rational and be kind to people. Do not be Jeremy. Truly. Because it's just such a waste of life. And I just enjoy being with so many people here. And I love having different emotions and conversations and observations and disagree on things. But when you become a dick, it just turns a different way. So let's just make sure the ups and downs that we are all here for each other and for this ride, even if we disagree with each other's takes.
That's a good final thought.
Thank you.
Yeah. This season, man. My final thought this season.
That's it.
Right when you think the corner gets turned, you're like, it's here, man. What a win. Reality check. Yeah. I mean, until they prove otherwise, it's kind of who they are. They're going to be up and down. They're frustrating. They're flawed. And, fix things this offseason. Hopefully you come back better. But, yes, big picture-wise, enjoy the ride. Buckle up. 25 games to go. We'll be here live after every single game. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. We love you guys, but we got to go.
You all have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for being here. We'll see you later.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo.